If your ink's too slow and your nib won't flow, here's one of the places that you can go. Larry is here to see you through with Mr. Announcer and Cubby too. It's Larry's Fountain Pen Reviews.
Hi folks, Larry here and welcome to Zoom Pen Hangout. Today we're going to have Dan the Man. And he's going to talk about his experience, his journey, how he got into it, and he's going to give his opinions about what he feels about pens. And he's learning, I would say, pretty fast. He's been in it, a little over a year, and he's come a long way. 2 years, and I'm sure that other people that will see this video will undoubtedly tell him what he should do, shouldn't do. And I think, in my opinion, as I learned, I had to find out on my own. Here's the reason why. There's so many reviewers out there with so many different opinions. I know this, I've been doing it for a long time, this, and they probably do. Probably know more than me. Well, that's fine. But I have found that what other reviewers found a real good fountain pen, I didn't find that same thing. And there's a lot more things that I found out on my own by doing the experiments and the trial runs to find out, well, how can they get this when I've done this? So no names need to be mentioned. And I'm real picky on my nibs. That's where I draw the line. If the nibs aren't done to my perfection, then the pen is not worthy to me, because that's under the hood, the heart of the pen. So hopefully you will go with your own gut, your own feeling. If you have to send a pen out to get it repaired, make sure it's somebody that does nib work. All right, Dan, take it over.
Well, my name is Dan Roseberry, and it's just a rose and a berry stuck together. And I am now I'm now in the fountain pen community. I had no plan to do that. I didn't know there was such a thing. Larry wanted me to just talk as, Larry's had a lot of guests on this show. I mean, there's a lot of experts who participate in this show. There's people who have hundreds, probably over 1,000 pens that they have. Every flavor you can think of, years, decades of experience with all kinds of different pens, nibs, papers, inks, writing styles, scripts, different things like that. And I told Larry that, I'm going to be just the man on the street kind of a guy here, because I'm a complete novice. Not complete, I've been a couple years now. And I guess every once in a while on the Zooms, I'll hear Larry or somebody else joke about falling down the rabbit's hole. And I didn't realize that there was a hole that I had to be careful of that I might fall into. But it all started for me. I have no experience with the fountain pen. I know that I had use of a cartridge fountain pen when I was very young. I just turned 70. So we're talking many decades ago. I was still a kid, and I know I played around with a fountain pen that had a cartridge in it. I can remember what a mess they were, because I couldn't leave anything alone. I'd take them apart and mess with them, and they'd run out of ink, and I'd squirt them and splash them, and it was just a royal mess. Somewhere along the line, I don't know whatever happened to that pen or who it belonged to. I remember finding or picking up, or somebody letting me handle one that had a lever on it. I said, "Oh, what's this for?" And I figured out that lever is how you fill the pen. Well, I didn't write with it. So anyway, that's my complete experience with the fountain pen, long time ago. Then about 8 years ago or so, a guy that I knew I was in an office supply store with him where they sold Mont Blanc pens. And this guy was really big into luxury and wealth and that sort of thing. And I'm not that person at all. But he talked about this pen that was like, this is the pen. He pick one out, I'll buy you any one you want. I'm going to buy it for you. So he whips out his credit card and I go to the counter. I did not know what I was looking for. They told me the different kinds. There was a ballpoint, there was a roller ball, there were fountain pens. Well, I thought, okay, I'll try a roller ball. So I got a roller ball Mont Blanc pen. And I carried it around with me. And one day it fell on the floor on a school bus and somebody stepped on it, mashed it and ruined it. And that was my Mont Blanc rollerball. Years later, I decided, I really love to write. I write on my computer. I just want to go back to just writing with my hands again. And so I didn't know what to buy. No, I wanted to try a fountain pen. And I didn't know anything about it. So I got on YouTube and looked around and I found this crazy guy on there that acted like he knew what he was talking about. And so I thought, well, I'll send the guy a little email and just ask him some advice, what I should buy. And that crazy guy, he took the time to talk to me and absolute no.
Wow.
And,
Not crazy.
And he right away, he calls me on the phone and his name was Larry Barones.
My God.
He's a wild and crazy guy, but he loved fountain pens and he loved people and he loved somebody that wanted to know something and to learn something. And from what I looked at YouTubes and things, I thought, well, maybe I'd like to try one of those that they talk about flexing. And so flex, okay. And so he put me in touch with FPR pens, Kevin, right? Is that his?
Yeah.
Kevin, FPR pens. And he said, you just tell Kevin what you're wanting and he'll help you. So before long, I had this pen. I didn't know what to buy. All I knew is Kevin gave me some advice. He wanted to know what material I wanted. This is made in India.
Uh-huh.
It is the Himalaya, maybe the Himalaya 2. I don't remember for sure. But it's a screw-off cap. He wanted to know what material. I didn't know. I said, okay, I'll try ebonite. And I actually got a gold nib.
I'm feeling good.
And so it's because it was flex. It was a flex nib. And so that's what I wanted. And it was under $200, I think. It wasn't a very expensive pen, but for me, that was a phenomenal amount of money to pay for a pen.
$200 is expensive.
Crazy. Well, it didn't take long. I followed up with Larry, and Larry followed up with me. And next thing I know, Larry's saying, do you want to try a such and such pen? I said, I'm going to send you a pen. So next thing I know, I got a box full of, he wanted me to cut my teeth on some pens that were just plain old $5, $10 pens. I got a fistful of them. He gave me some ink. He gave me something to put them in. It's a little this, a little that. Just
paper, all that. Yeah.
Here's the pen. Here's the fountain pen world. Bam! It's yours. I'm going, wow! I do all this stuff. So I started playing around with it and that sort of thing. Next thing I know, he said, would you like to buy a good pen? A nice pen. Well, okay, yeah. And so Larry sells me a pen. He gave it to me for a cheap price. He called it the Dan price. And
real. The problem is here.
It wasn't free. It was still a lot of money for me.
Let me explain that part, Dan, real quick. The reason why I sold it to him so low, Dan's like me, we don't have no money. And for Dan to have some decent pens, it had to have been something that he could afford because I want him to have a nice pen. I think everybody should have a nice pen. So what is a nice pen? It's what the person thinks a nice pen is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Larry doesn't give you a second, but he gave me an absolutely beautiful Visconti
beautiful
opera fountain pen. and it had a gold nib on it. I got a good price for it. It was not cheap, but it was not expensive. It was not anywhere near what it was worth. And he's done that a couple of other times too with other stuff, and even gifted me a couple of things.
Yep.
But never did I expect it or want it to happen. But I started writing with this, and it's like, oh, I love the feel of this thing. And so I can't stop looking at it. I go to bed and I come back out and go to bed. I come back into my office before I go to bed. I got to look at it again and pick it up and hold it and look at it. Such a beautiful pen, and then I graduated to the Pelican 815, which is a special edition. Everybody knows Pelicans got these stripes. These stripes are not like most Pelican stripes. These are actually metal stripes. See them? Flashy, 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 flashy. Gorgeous pen, German-made pen. And this pen here has I call it a German feel. There's something about the feel of a German pen from the ones I've had. There's a firmness about them, a little weight to it. And so I love that. And over time, I got this pen, I got that pen, and I've only bought a couple of new pens. And I don't think I've ever bought a new pen that had a gold nib. I bought everything I bought has been used. Some have been gifted to me, some have been used. And people found out that I like pens, and a couple of people have gifted pens to me. And the only new pen I've ever bought were another crazy guy. I take it back. I bought a couple of Gin Hows. I think I bought a couple of Gin Hows, and I bought a Lamy Calligraphy. The only pen I've ever thrown in the garbage. But that's only because I broke it irreparably. I don't want to worth my parts for. But this other guy, I bought a pen for. I learned to respect the heck out of the guy. His name is Mike Green. I bought this puppy. Beautiful. I love ebonite. Mike does super work. He's kind of new at this, like me, new at it, but it doesn't take long of doing what you do to get really good. And from what I've seen of other pen makers' pens, I see no difference in quality between those that have been doing it for a gazillion years and what Mike Green makes. They are absolutely every bit as good a quality as anybody else's pens that I've seen yet. And I wanted the biggest pen he'd ever made because Larry went and got a pen, and he called it the Terminator. I said, yeah, I'll be back. Okay.
Eat your heart out.
I'll be back. That's all. I got to have one bigger than Larry's pen. I don't want any little piddly little things like Larry's got. So
you can't get it any bigger.
Mike made me the biggest pen he's ever made.
That is not mine.
He's ever made. See, my pen's bigger than your pen, Larry.
I see, Mike. Okay.
I love this.
Dan,
Nico
is this
ebonite.
Dan, is this an X-rated show?
No, this isn't. As long as you talk clean, you're welcome. Hi,
hold on.
How are you?
Time out. Speaking about the pens, you forgot to mention that when those pens you got came in the pen case usually. Remember? You got them in the pen case, right? Right. Didn't you, Dan?
The pen case, yes, yeah.
That's one. Two, they were only used, the majority were used one time for a pen review. So it's like him not getting a used pen, it's him getting a brand new pen. Yeah. Because what happens, I have to rotate my pens, and I do review, and I forget to go back to them.
Yeah,
so, yeah. Oh, Lannis, one thing, you're in Canada?
I'm a Canadian through and through, and yes,
you had a birthday? You had a birthday?
I did. It was a huge
Okay. Let me explain before you go into hemorrhoids. All right, so here it is. So your birthday present is not going to come today. It'll come before Christmas. Goodbye. Next, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, I'm Janice. You're joining us. That Larry has asked me to share my pin journey. So all of my 2 years in-depth experiences are going to show up here.
Okay,
But,
I know I'm late to the show here, but Dan, can you tell me what you do? Because I don't really know whether you make pens, sell pens, farm out people to go buy you pens like Mike Green, or can you just tell me what you do in the hobby?
you talking about Stan or who? You?
Dan.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't sell them. I've never sold a pen. No, I don't qualify as a pen expert, paper expert, ink expert, any kind of expert. You know what somebody told me? What an old preacher told me once. Do you know what an expert is, Dan? I said no. He said that's a former drip under pressure. But
that is more pulpit jokes.
Yeah. I keep being accused of telling the same jokes over and over again, but every once in a while I like to share one of them. But I don't qualify as an expert in any field of pens. I am a novice, and my perspective is that of a pen user. I don't call myself a pen collector, but there are some that I'm beginning to lean towards, thinking I wouldn't mind having some more of those. One of those, so I guess you might say I'm not a pen collector, because I'm looking at all my pens right here in front of me. There's not that many of them, but they're beautiful. I love them all. But one of the first earlier pens that I bought used was this pen that I really fell in love with a lot. And if I was going to be like you, Janice, with your Pelicans,
Facebook.
I love Oman.
Can I make a correction there?
Yes.
Lannis.
Jack, what did you call you, Janice?
You called me Janice.
I'm sorry, Janice. I meant to call you Lannis. I'm sorry, Lannis.
Good one, good one.
I'm sorry. I will say, though, Lannis, while I'm thinking of it, that the Canadians have the most beautiful flag of all the flags of the world, in my opinion. I love the maple leaf flag. That is so awesome.
Ah, thank you, thank you.
I used to be fond of your nickels too, but
I do too, yeah.
But I've been to
Well,
Canada.
good job you're not so fond of our 1 and 2 paper dollar bills.
Yeah, I don't know that much about them, but
well, we've gone to like a coin for a loonie and a toonie, which is a $1 bill because it has a loon on it. So we call it a loonie, and then the $2 bill, it's two. So
oh, gee, that's cool. That's a good idea. Nice. But this pin is like some of the older Canadian nickels in that it has lots of little facets on it. See them?
What kind of pin is that?
This is an Omas Malone.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Okay. It is a beautiful writing pen. It was the only pen of the first pens I had. Some of you heard me tell this story, so I won't make it too long. But I disliked this pen. I didn't like it. I'm sorry I bought it. I wanted to send it back. But I didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings I bought it from. So I kept it. And then I realized that it is a different kind of pen to write with. And when I learned how to write with the pen, then I realized this pen is a featherweight pen. It's lighter than any pen I've ever picked up. It's just feather light. Other than the gold nib and this little teeny thing here, I don't know what metal's in the thing. But it's got a beautiful, you can't see too good.
Nib. Is that an 18 or 12? 18 or
12?
14 or 18?
I think it's a 12. But it is a soft writing pen, and it just, if I get in a hurry, if I'm pressing too hard, manhandling it, then it doesn't like me. But if I treat it with respect and with a light grip, it's just like butter. And I love.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there for a minute. When I was getting the Omos pens, I had to do the research, and Omos is a really popular pen, vintage as well. So right there, I was curious. So I think I got the small first and the large, but sometimes pens takes time to acquire. You might not like it the first time. You write with it a little while and you put it up.
Mhm.
I don't like that pen. Then later, this is how I do. I go back and I try it again and try it and bond with it and learn. I need to learn my pens. They're trying to learn me at the same time. So it's like you're learning your kids' behavior. So finally, after a while, I finally realized that this is really an awesome pen, and they're not cheap at all. They're expensive almost. Are they worth it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're worth it. But how much is a pen really worth to the person that's buying it? That's the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got me
well,
fired up. You got me fired up.
Well,
Well-
at least you woke Mike up there. Mike is dozing off.
Hey, Linus, you're going to be on pretty soon, so better zip it up, girl.
Better get those birds ready. We want to see those.
You ain't lying, Linus.
Oh yeah, I haven't
Well,
been given my
I
formal
fell in love with
invite.
it, and I ended up with the Big Brother.
Yep.
Lord. This
Yep.
one here, there's a difference. I'll show you the difference here. The two together. This is a little bit more basic. With this one, the outside looks the same. But this is higher up on the food chain than this one in the
Yep.
Omos world.
Yep.
This is the Arte Italiana. Okay, I believe this is an 18 karat, and this is a 12.
You heat 'em up?
Yeah, 585. That's 12, isn't it?
Yes,
585 is 12. 12
Yeah.
karat.
585 is 14.
10 karat would be 500.
Okay. Okay.
585 is 14.
It's 14 karat.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Stan. I kept thinking 12 doesn't sound right. So that's a 14. And this is an 18. And this, like the other one, it's a light touch pen, feather light. This one here is a fine nib. This one here is a medium nib. And it's nice to go back and forth between them. They're both piston filled pens. They're both Italian, beautiful Italian pens. I love the Omos pens. Speaking of Italians, then something else happened to me. I bought this one. And this one here was it was also used. This is
That Visconti?
this is another Visconti, but it's a little different. Okay, this is
Vintage. Yeah.
the Visconti Opera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this, notice the difference in the clip. This one says Visconti on the outside, and this one says all the Visconti clips have this springy clip. Visconti's on the side, you see. But on the older one, this is a vintage one. And this doesn't have the side branding. It has the top branding. And on the back of it, if you can see this, the clip is screwed on through the outside of the cap.
So is that a vintage Visconti?
Vintage, I guess, is in the eyes of the beholder, but what would you guys guess this is? Probably what, 50-ish or so? Or how old
I forgot.
it's a
I have to look it up again.
What'd you say, Larry?
I have to look it up on what year that was in.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have it on my computer somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but it's probably in the 50 years old bracket or so. Wouldn't you guess?
50, early 60s, early 50s, because that doesn't that have a gold nib on it?
Yeah. Which is, if you look this up, that's unusual. Because
Yeah.
if you find these, this pen doesn't have a gold nib. This does. So from what I've seen of them, I found this identical pen. I don't know. I was just looking around and found it online. And when they talked about it, it had a steel nib. This is the Van Gogh,
Right.
and the Van Gogh was lower down on their Visconti food chain.
Is that two shoes? No, what is the one that's brown?
Is it what?
I'm just trying to think which of the Van Gogh that one is. Do you know?
This one is the, no,
Room and
this is,
Arley?
they call this one the Opera, and then the big one is the Opera Master. This one is the Van Gogh, and I don't know how many Van Gogh models there were.
I think 12. I think they made like a dozen different of the Van Gogh, and named after a piece of art that he did.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. This is Van Gogh. This one here is a little bit newer than those, but again, it's got the cap with the side writing on it. But this one here is a palladium nib. And you talk about a pen that writes different than other pens. This pen here, springy and wrote like a fire hose at the same time. This was my fire hose pen, and I don't know what else to tell you, but
Is that a vacuum filler?
what would you?
Is it a vac filler?
It is a cartridge filler.
Okay.
Yeah, cartridge filler. In fact, it's the same. It's the same cartridge. I mean, converter that you would get on one of Mike Green's pens. He uses this this converter on his pens, right, Mike? Don't you use
Yeah,
this?
that sounds, it could be, that would say it's a standard international cartridge or converter,
Yeah.
then, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
standard, it's a standard one.
Don't
which
you
is
use
nice.
the Visconti? You're using Visconti cartridges?
I usually
I mean,
use Pelican.
converters?
I usually use Pelican converters that I
Pelican?
supply with my pens. Sometimes
Okay.
I started out using Schmidt, but I mean, they're all, the whole point is that they're all interchangeable though. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, Liz, welcome.
Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Dan, on that early Visconti that you were showing us that is like 50 or 60 years old, did you find that you ever had any kind of writing issues with it? You know how Visconti has been, world renowned about their customer care and their products and stuff like that. Did you ever have any issue with it?
No, it mechanically, I mean, it writes, this is a fine nib also, and it writes gorgeously. Never had a bit of problem with it. I will say that the kind of locking mechanism that Visconti, they apparently changed them over the years. They played around with them. And like this one here that I showed you, which is the newest one, it has that spring-loaded thing. Bang, you can feel a spring. You push it and it's in, push it and it's out. There's a spring in there. This one here, it was before that one. It is a lock. It is a screw type. But this one here is almost like they tried to do, this is their first locking one. And it is just, it's a plastic. You can't really hardly see it, but in the plastic itself, there's like a little raised area here and a little raised area there. And then in this part, there's like a little deep cutout area so that when you put these together, you line them up and then you twist it and the cap stays on. The only problem I've had with this pen is that sometimes the cap, if I bump it or do something, it just doesn't lock really well. That's the only. But
your writing experience has been good with all of them?
Absolutely, yes, definitely. The only thing I would say, like I qualify that is this one here, the writing experience, because it's a palladium nib. It is an extremely wet, the wettest of all the pens I've ever written with. It was like I said, a fire hose, and so that it writes different because of the springiness of the palladium. It's made with the only palladium nib I've ever tried to write with. So I don't know if they're all that way or just this one, but it's not a problem. It's more of a style, Lannis. That's it. This pen here, I don't have it inked right now, but this is, like I said, this is my first real pen after the Ebonite one here. This is my first one. And you can't tell very much, but the kind of material is it's like glass, but I don't think it's glass. It's probably in the plastic family. You can see into it, so it's not a full-blown what do you call it when you can see inside?
Demonstrator?
What do you call it?
Demonstrator.
Yeah, demonstrator. Yeah, it's not a full-blown demonstrator, but it is of sorts that you can see through it.
Translucent, okay.
But one issue that I did have with this, if I could find a piece of white paper behind it, I don't know if this will show through or not. Okay, do you see like right in here? Now this has these swirls in it all over, which is supposed to be there. But right up in this area, it's like a ring, see it? And then it kind of goes up. There's actually a plastic insert in this cap that is like welded in. You can't get it out. I tried. And somehow or another, some ink got behind that. And I've cleaned this thing, 30 times. I've soaked it. I've tried everything in the planet. I've used ammonia. I've used pen wash. I've shook it. I've used jewelry cleaner. I cannot get that out of there. And I either learn to live with it and love it with that. It's pretty. There's a pretty red ink in there. But I actually was afraid to use red ink again after that in anything because I was afraid it'd ruin other pens. It hasn't ruined it. It's just that it's the design of the pen. There's a plastic insert inside the cap. And behind that insert, some ink got in there that I can't wash out of it.
So that's probably the plastic insert there is probably to make it seal proof of the ink so that you're not, it's not drying out on you.
The sealing name, yeah. Have you tried ultrasonic cleaner? Dan?
What's that?
Have you tried ultrasonic cleaner?
Yes, yes, I have. Actually, I bought a new one that I've not tried this on yet. I'll have to try that one. Good point, Stan. I should try that again. My other one, it didn't do any good, but I'll try that again. I actually, when I was at the St. Louis Pen Show, I talked to the Visconti rep and I asked him about that. And he said, oh, sure, yeah, hand it here. I'll take it and mail it off for you. I'm thinking, no, I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about him. And I didn't want to entrust my pen to somebody that I just met a few seconds before. But they were going to send it to a specialist and have them see if they could fix it. And I didn't know whether to try it or not. I have not made a decision whether I'm just going to live with it or I'm going to send it to Visconti and see if they can do it. But maybe, Stan, I should try that one more time. But if it got in there that time, what's going to keep it the next time from getting more ink in it the next time? So, you know.
I think you're right. Sometimes it's just better to leave well enough alone and learn to live with it because you don't want to, damage the integrity of the pen itself.
Yeah.
And it's like you've gotten used to it being there, so you might as well, it adds to the color of the acrylic, right? So
yeah, it's just a beautiful, 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 beautiful pen. I love this pen. So anyway, I could talk to you about other pens, and you guys have got pens of all kinds and that sort of thing. But the way I started off was I didn't really, I was looking for a pen. That's all I wanted was a pen, a fountain pen. I had no idea that Larry would invite me to come to one of these. And Larry wrote me some letters. He became a pen pal. He was my only pen pal. And then he had a pen pal Zoom, and people, some of you were probably part of that. And I was shocked to find that part of the pen world out there is people that like to write letters to each other with fountain pens. I thought, well, that's so cool.
Fountain pen friends is huge if you don't know about that one.
Yeah, I have heard about it. Yes, I have heard about it. Maybe I ought to do it. But I mean, right now, Larry had that meeting and I was on, and I kind of said, well, I've got, everybody's going around the Zoom, around the board, talking about how many gazillions of pen pals they have and everything, and showing me their stacks of envelopes. And I thought, oh boy, they came to me. I said, well, I got one, Larry. And so Tony Rossisi felt sorry for me, and he said, "I'll be your pen pal. Send me your address." So Larry and I have been corresponding for some time, and then Troy.
Don't compare yourself to Tony. I don't think anybody can live up to what Tony does. I don't know how many
How
hundreds
does
of emails he has, and I don't know where he gets all that time to write all those letters, but he does. But don't compare yourself to him, because the majority of us are not even in that realm of the number of pen pals he has.
Yeah, and not just the pens, not just the letters, but he does the envelopes and sometimes part of the letter in dip pen calligraphy.
He makes amazing envelopes as well.
Yeah. So he became my pen pal, and then Troy LaPlante became my pen pal, and then my son wanted to be my pen pal, and then I discovered something else about the pen world that was sharing it with other people. So I gave my son a limited amount of pens, and he writes letters to me with them, and he always tells me if I want them back, just let me know. But so he's got some of my pens at his house, but they're his now, of course. And if I die, they're his anyway. But but anyway.
So tell me, Dan, do you write any sermons with those fountain pens?
Yes, I do. And I've been journaling electronically for many, many years. What I call my personal journal. And every year I start each one with a PJ and then the year, and so every year I have a personal journal, and it's always like on Microsoft Word, so I have documents stacked up of those. But then I picked these up. And these are, you've seen these and used these, I'm sure. There's the Rhodia. This is the couple of Rhodias here. And then the Lecturums. What is the 1917 or something like that? What do they call that?
Lystrom 1917.
Yeah. But I do a little bit of journaling and that writing. Actually, it's not exactly, it's subject related journaling. Like this one here is my journal that is dedicated. I call it in, because everything I write in here is thoughts about what it means to be in Christ.
Cool.
And, there's a lot of scriptures about being in Christ. So I've started writing about that. And then that got replaced with one of these. Because I find that writing in these, they're tiny. And you fill up the page so quickly, and then you've got the middle section bumping into your hand, and it's wanting to close on you. And so I've tried different journals in my journey. And I've tried Clairefontaine's, I've tried a number of the staple top journals, notepads they call them, of the different sizes. And I've tried that. And then I found that on a lot of those that I was writing only on one side of them. I thought, what a waste of paper. So I thought I would get the spiral on the top instead of on the side, so I don't have my hand on keep running into a spiral. You see, I'm an attention deficit disorder guy, that a tag in my shirt would make me lose my mind. Touch my body, my back of my neck, I would just go nuts. I drive my poor wife crazy.
Yeah, you meant to say OCD, not ADD.
What's that?
Yeah, you meant to say OCD.
Well, they call mine. Part of me, maybe, yeah, that's my behavior is definitely OCD. Yeah. But I have real serious attention deficit disorder, and when I was little, it would have been called hyperactivity. Attention deficit hyperactivity.
Same thing. Absolutely.
Anyway, So I've started using these, and I've got a bunch of them. And once again, this one is for the subject of what it means to be in Christ. I have several other subjects, and I get up in the morning and I write about different things. I have one that is called, that I'm writing on now, called The Benevolent God. In fact, I might even put together a YouTube channel someday and do some YouTube video teachings or preachings of sharing thoughts about why God is so good, why I think what is so good about God. God gets a bad rap. He gets blamed for all kinds of things that he doesn't deserve blame for. And I just find so many good things about God. I just can't stop talking about it. So I've got a whole book dedicated to the benevolent God. I've been writing about different things about that.
And that would be just an incredible ministry for you to get going if you ever get that off the ground. You know, look at the people that you could reach that you wouldn't even know that you are reaching, and they don't even know what they're reaching for. And yet you've got these things on YouTube that they can, you know, peruse. So, I mean, that would be just incredible for you to do that in your thoughts.
Thanks for saying that, Landis. I'm actually planning, I've got a whole list, 2 pages of YouTube presentations or videos on the subject. Like, for instance, well, I don't want to get off on preaching, but I'm a preacher. I have to a little bit. But like one would be like, he is the he's the knowable God. You can know him. He wants you to know him. He's the findable God. The scriptures that talk about if you seek him, you'll find him. And so he's generous. He's forgiving. So many things you could say about him. So each one of those will be a YouTube channel if I can get the thing pulled off. And our dear friend Troy LaPlante is coaching me and helping me to get that off the ground. So I'm working on that, and he's working with me with great patience, because I plan too much and don't just get in and just do things. Anyway, that's your answer, Lannis, is journaling. And so I think that I'll probably do more of these for just daily journal stuff, and to take the place of the electronics and use the big ones for the subject related stuff. Like one's poetry that I've been on, poetry that I've written too. So inks, you know, we could talk about inks, papers. I guess my journey is, I didn't know I was going on a journey, Larry. You wanted me to share my fountain pen journey. I didn't know I was going on a fountain pen journey. I just wanted to buy a fountain pen, and this is it. Larry showed me what to buy, and next thing I know, I'm sucked down the rabbit hole with all the rest of you. And I've met some wonderful people, and that's something I had no idea that would. I wasn't looking for friends. I wasn't looking to know people. I wasn't looking to, and not just that. Besides the friendship, I'm hearing about some of the most brilliant, experienced people in the pen world who have so many pens, so much knowledge. People that know inks, people that know papers, people that know calligraphy. Like Dr. Joe, what a walking encyclopedia that man is. And every time he opens his mouth, I'm learning from him. And I learn from all you. And Janice, Lannis, I can't wait to see your pelicans. How many pelicans do you have, Lannis? 12 or more?
Not sure. It's north of 40, I think.
Whoa! Wow. See, that's to me. I've always, people that major on one thing have always intrigued me more than I've always wanted to be that person. But instead, I'm a little this, a little that, a little this, a little that, and to just focus on one thing and do it really, really, really well. And for you to focus on those, and have mercy on guys like Mike Green and buying one of his pens once in a while. They get to nestle up with the pelicans. I'm sure that they appreciate that.
He's got some stunning blanks, and
He does.
of course, I love color. Anything he shows me in color would be a winner for me.
Lannis, wait Mike, show Liz and Lannis came in after you showed the new giraffe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you
well,
round up the giraffe?
Reach behind you, Mike. Come on, grab
Yeah,
that.
I'll reach behind me here. Dan was talking about these giraffe blanks, and I dug these up. I didn't dig them up last night when he brought them up, but I knew he was going to talk to him again today, so I brought them up. So here's I think this is the one, the copper
Holy.
bronze is the one he is kind of thinking about, but it comes in
Okay,
a variety
so-
of colors.
So
There's a,
Mike, when
yeah.
you grind and polish and everything else, is that purple?
That's purple.
Yes. You should see what a pin looks like in that.
Oh, that's
And
a
then
winner.
that's a blue, of
Yeah.
course. Of course, now you can't leave out the black pen, people. Here's a black one. So I just, they come in a lot of different colors. I just got these. They're sitting in my bin of parts here. And when he said he was talking about giraffe, of course, this one is the one that's closer to the real colors, of course. So that would be an interesting
So
pen.
Mike,
Yeah.
if I can take away from asking Dan something and ask Mike something,
We're shifting gears here, huh?
I just want to ask you how that would turn out once you shaped it. Is the pattern going to be like humongous on a pen?
Well, I haven't turned any of these yet, so I don't know.
Hurry up. We want
I
to see
know.
them.
Well, here, if you can see behind me here, you can see there's a couple boxes back there on the table.
Yeah.
Those are full of blanks, and there's blanks laying all over the place. You got blanks all over the table, the chairs over here. I've got lots of choices, and so I've got a lot of things to work through. And I did get these. I haven't tried them yet, but if you look at them, they look like this when you look at this side. But if you look, the pattern goes straight through like that, right? And so it's going to look like this on this side, but then as you turn to the side, it's going to go to this kind of a pattern, and it's going to be a circular cut through all that. So I can't really, in my mind, I can't quite predict what that's going to look like yet.
Well,
It's
Lance,
hard to
ideas.
perceive that. It's really hard.
I think Troy LaPlante had
Yeah.
a video with one that Stan called it a different name. It was the purple one. And
Okay.
that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
first time I'd seen it, and it looked like the side, like the front that Mike showed.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah,
him
like
turning
this.
it looked like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember him turning it around and looking much different than that.
I'm not sure what there are different there are different kinds of blanks too. This is just this particular
Okay.
set.
Okay.
So
Yeah, well, we're interested. I shouldn't have said anything. I told you I wanted you to make a little one, and I ended up having to buy one.
yeah, you have to buy one. I've got a whole set of as I was telling you the other day, I've got a whole set of number 5 nibs I'm working through to get ready to use. So there'll be more slim pens.
First number.
Yeah, that was
5.
the very first one, but there'll be more.
I'm still waiting for you to manufacture and invent a pen stand, Mike.
Yes, I think, well, let's see, I thought I have the blank sitting here on my desk somewhere that you had chosen. I still haven't made the pen stand. It's still sitting here. It's sitting in front of me, reminding me daily, oh, you should really get this done sometime, but
Yeah.
I haven't really come up with a design I like yet. So I'm still thinking about it.
I actually chose a blank.
Yeah, we chose an opal blank that's close to what you had wanted.
Oh yeah, I
Maybe you
guess
change your mind, but
look
we
at
did choose a
that. I
blank.
had forgotten we actually chose one.
No, I remember I got several different blanks. The blank that your pen was made from, I couldn't get any more. It was out of stock. So I went and got several different blanks. And in fact, I got different colors of opal blanks, all sorts of different blanks, and we did pick one out. But you're not stuck to it. We can change colors if you want.
It must have been that old age birthday I had a few weeks ago.
Well, that's why I set things aside with notes on them, because I have the same kind of memory problems. I get kind of scattered sometimes. So, but it's easy to move, easy to change.
Well, Larry, I guess I will end my, what I have to say was just saying that I didn't plan on going on a fountain pen journey. I just found myself on one, and I found myself with you all and learning who you people are and getting to like you, and it's just been fun. and I've learned so much, and I'm experimenting. Mike and I were talking earlier this afternoon. I guess my next part of my so-called journey is to try some of the different kinds of nibs, grinds. I do have, I've played with a couple of stubs. I have one stub nib, and I'd like to try an italic and maybe something else. But right now, I guess I just say that I'm just new at pins, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it, and I like you all, and just I can't believe I've never met Larry, but I feel like Larry and I've known each other for 50 years. You know, we're back and forth all the time about something. So anyway,
Larry,
I'm
you're
turning it
on
over to you, Larry. Back to you, Larry.
He's eating.
Yeah, and muted. Larry, you're muted.
Mute. You're muted, Larry.
Dan, I'll tell you a quick story, Dan.
Okay.
My pastor and I,
Man,
I learned somehow that he was a fountain pen aficionado as well. And
Really?
so every September we set a Friday apart, and we go to Fight on Pens, which is in Cambridge, Ontario, and they have their annual sale there. And he and I go on a trip every day out there, which is
How cool is that?
an hour and a half away, and we look at pens and inks, and then we go out, have lunch, and then we just have an excursion around the
Oh,
area.
that's neat. That's neat. Does he have any pelicans yet?
Yeah, he has probably the only one that I don't have that I want, and that is the Ocean Swirl.
Ocean Swirl, huh? Does he have that one?
Yeah, I think he bought it one day we were doing our thing together. I told him this year, I said, if you'd ever decide to sell that, you know, I'm a taker on that. And he said, do I have that one? Anyway,
Yeah.
are you with us, Larry?
Dan, you still haven't talked about your Montegrappa, your 149, and other pens.
Me? I didn't know you wanted me to talk about them all. Okay, well.
Yeah, I do. That's what you're on here.
I don't know how long you wanted me to talk.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a pair of Montegrappas. And this one here is the Elmo. And I'm trying to think when I got the Elmo. I got the Elmo. It was, I believe, a gift from a friend of mine. And he blessed me with this. And I love it. It's a steel nib, but this is one of the pens that's taught me to love pens that don't have gold nibs. You don't have to have a gold nib to be a wonderful pen.
Right.
And I liked it so much that he sent me another one. And this one here could be not a boat anchor, but this is a copper. I don't know if you can tell the copper patina on it. This is called the Mule.
Yep.
It's a very heavy pen, but not so that it's cumbersome. It's a very nice, very similar nib to the other one. And it just is a great pen. Another pen that taught me to really appreciate steel nibs. Mike said something yesterday. This is a Faber vom Faber Castle. Did I say that right? Here's something else in my
Von Graf Faber-Castell.
Faber-Castell. Vom Faber-Castell. Okay.
Von Graf, yeah. Von Graf.
Yeah. I'll
Or Graf von.
Faber-Castell, yeah.
I interrupt myself. In my pen learning experience, I've learned that if you forget which of your pins is a pull cap and which one is a twist cap, and you assume it's a twist cap, and you twist the cap off, and it looks like that,
You've done the
not
wrong
a
thing.
twist cap. It is a pull cap. This pin here has a metal, probably brass, underneath it. Here's, by the way, you guys, if you get yourself one of these, if you don't have one, it's a little magnet. This will help you tell right away if something is a steel nib or if it's a gold nib. You ever want to know if it's a gold plated? Get you one of these, it'll tell you immediately. If you go like that and it's gold shaped and it won't stick to it, you got a gold nib. Okay, this is a brass nib, brass pin. It's a very heavy pin, but it's a pull top cap. And I don't know what the size, I'm guessing this might be a number 4. Can you see that better? There's a little black, nib. But Mike said something about pins yesterday about sometimes you get a nib that writes like a nail. Was it you that said that, Mike? Well, I wouldn't call this a nail writer, but if I had any pin in my collection,
very stiff, yeah.
This one would be that pin. And once again, I think one of you was asking about the length of the nib, if it had anything to do with the stiffness.
Oh, we were talking about that last night about this spring of the nib,
Yeah.
whether it was the length or whether it was
Yeah.
the material or whether it was the shape of how they made the nib.
Yeah, this is a shorter nib, and it also has a real stiffness to it, but
Dan?
it's not an uncomfortable bad to write with. I've learned that they all have a personality. All pin nibs have a personality. If you fall in love with only one kind, then you're kind of stunting your experience. It could be better, broader. I'm sure you know, as many Pelicans as you have, Lannis, there's probably different writing experiences with several of them. They don't all
Yes.
write just the same.
Remember last night we were talking about steel nibs versus the 18 karat, 14 karat nibs, and how I said, I have some Pelicans with both of them, and I really don't have any kind of issue writing with my steel one, and it's probably one of the cheapest Pelicans I have, but I like the way it writes when you use it. I also like the way my other gold nibs write too. So, it's not only just a matter of preference, but, it's kind of what you're in the mood for, or what kind of, maybe even who you're writing to or the paper you're using. So there's lots of variables that depend on which pen you do choose, and hence the reason we all multitudes.
Yeah, definitely.
And we help to keep people like Mike Green in business.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
I just keep buying the same pin from him. Liz, did you say something?
Well, I have a few Faber-Castell pens with the steel nibs, and they're all very stiff.
They are okay. It's not just me then. I did observe that.
No, they are very stiff. I love the way that they write.
Yeah,
I like my little,
You do too?
Excellent writers.
I don't have all my pens inked now. I got to where they were almost all inked. I thought, oh man, this is getting crazy. So I had to clean them. I have to make myself keep my hands off of them and just ink a few of them. And then I look forward to them running out of ink so I can try something. And I find myself thinking, I think I'm going to ink up the von Faber-Castell again, because you find yourself thinking about a writing experience with certain pens. And I told you about the writing experience I had with this one. I feel the feeling of what it feels like to write with this pen when I just think of it. And this one is that way too, but it's opposite pens. But I love them both. And this is a steel nib, and this is a gold nib. This is flexible, soft, easy touch, or you'll mess it up. This is a nice, stiff feeling pen. But boy, is it just right like a dream. I love the feel of it. Actually, the Montegrappas aren't too terribly far from that either. They're steel nibs. They're not nails, but they're not a soft feeling pen. I had a couple of other things. Okay. I started telling you that my first pen, which wasn't it was a Montegrappa, it was a roller that I ruined. It got stepped on and crushed on a school bus. Well, I bought this one with, I don't know, the 4 or 5 pins I bought. all in a group of pins, and this was one of them. And this pin here is the Montegrappa Mont Blanc 144. And this is, they're next to their smallest pin. They actually have one called a Mozart, or tribute to Mozart, which is smaller even than this. But this is Mike Green's smallest pin now. And look, you see, this is longer, but diameter-wise, you see the diameter difference. I don't know how, it's got a tiny little nib in it. And it's a gold nib, but this is a cartridge pin. The only cartridge pin that I know of. No, they've got a 147. This 144, they have a 147. I think there's a cartridge only. Am I right about that? Anybody know? Anybody
I
ever
don't
have
know.
a 147? That's on my bucket list. I really want to try to get one. They made it for traveling, they said, I think. And it is obviously between the one, it's just a little bit bigger than the 146. But this pin, I loved it, loved it, loved it. And then I got major blessed with the best pin that I own. No, I said that wrong. That owns me. It's like a cat. You don't own a cat, right? The cat owns you. This is my 149. This is the platinum edition, and this has the monstrous big gorgeous 18-karat gold pen. And this one just writes like, this is the pen for me. This is the perfect size for my hand. It makes me want to try other large pens. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying some other larger pens, because this feels perfect in my hand. For every reason. I write every morning. I said that I always inked up some pens, then I wash them out and don't ink them up again so I can try other pens. The Mont Blanc 149 is always inked up. I will always have a 149 inked up, I think. I don't know why I wouldn't, because when I find myself writing in my journals, I want to pick that up and start writing. I just love the way it, I don't know, Mont Blanc did it right with their pens. I just love their pens. I guess.
Do you use different color of ink, Stan, when you're writing?
I do. I do. I've tried a lot of different things. I did find, I wish I could tell you which pens they were right now, but I've had a couple pens that they were good pens, but they wrote too much texture on the paper for me, a little bit grainy feeling. And so I don't know, I accidentally tried I've told, so you've already heard me say this, so I won't. This is the a Pilot Takasumi, Iroshizuku Takasumi ink, the Takasumi, and that stands for burned charcoal, I think. Looks like Take Sumi, Takesumi.
Takesumi, yeah.
And this is just a really nice black ink. You want a good black ink? This is the best black ink I've felt yet. And I call this my magic ink, because if I have a nib that feels rough, or a pen that feels rough, and I'm not enjoying writing with it because it just doesn't feel smooth enough, it's like putting oil in my pen. It takes it right out. It just immediately it becomes a good pen to a great pen. And that may not work for anybody else, but it works for me for more than one of my pens. I've found this to be great. I'm a little worried about putting just any old ink in a piston fill pen. I don't. Is somebody singing a song here somewhere? I hear some weird sounds.
Yeah, there's audio going on below somewhere. Yeah, someone's got audio going.
Okay. Anyway, I really like that ink. I've tried this many of the Iroshizuku inks. Three of these are samples that Troy sent me, little sample bottles, but the rest of them, I bought all those. You know, Dr. Joe likes the Yamabudo, which is wild grape, I think. And it writes a lot like the Takasumi. It's a very smooth, lubricated feeling ink. Saturated, but good. I'm afraid to put any ink in my piston-filled expensive pens unless I can trust it. And Dr. Joe doesn't use anything but Pilot, Irashizuko, Yamabudo in all of his pens, and he's got a gazillion really nice pens. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for Dr. Joe, I can trust it in mine. Now, I've got 3 bottles of Mont Blanc inks, which I would normally match the ink to my pen. But I don't like very much those 3 colors that I have. They just watery feeling. I don't like them, except for the Royal Blue is pretty good ink. And I have that right now in this bad boy, the 149. And it's a beautiful, smooth writing ink. Not quite as smooth as the Takasumi, but still a nice, smooth, lubricated ink. So inks, besides what you see on the wall back there, Lannis, this is Dan's ink collection. Not a whole lot compared to most of you guys. That's about it.
I think you have more inks than me.
I got a lot of them are Birmingham inks. If you like an affordable,
I have 3 of those. Yeah.
This is a good ink. I don't put it in. I put it in my cartridge pens. I don't put it in my piston pens, because not that it would hurt them, but I just don't want to take any chances. I put the best in the best. You can't get it out very well. But these are really good, and they have a lot of wonderful colors. They're great people to work with. Very super prices, and I found out that if you like one of their inks, and this, I don't know, I might pay like $8 or something like that for some of these. I looked on their line, and you click on the button, they sell it in bigger size for almost that much more. So what I did was I would try their small sizes, and if I liked them a whole lot, then I would buy the bigger bottles, and I gave the little bottles to my son. So he gets to try different inks that way. So most of my inks are that. My top ink, I love the Montegrappa inks as well. This one here is their fuchsia. I love this. This is my #1 ink until I discovered the Takasumi. Another great ink. So what else do I talk about here?
You have a Lamy 2000.
I have a Lamy 2000. Now, let me tell you what. This is the pen I hate to like because it's not too pretty. A lot of people think they're the best thing since apple butter. Where are you? It's here somewhere. I just had it. I'm looking right at it. Where is it? Ah, there it is. This just looks too much like something you buy for 29 cents. Why would you put a gorgeous pen in this flat black, plain, squared off looking, matte, nasty looking, plain, cheapo looking case? But it's a really wonderful pen.
Can I give you my observation of that?
Yeah, please do.
I'm in trouble, aren't I, Alana?
Go ahead, Landon.
Not
ahead.
at all, because I'm a lady who loves color, and I think that they solely designed that for the guys, and I'm going to get sexist here, but for the guys who belong to the Black Pen Society.
Yeah. Pretty darn plain. But it's, there's something about the Lamy 2000, and it's like the Safari. One of the first pens I ever got, Larry gave me a Safari right off the bat. One of the very first pens I ever had was a Safari. And man, he says, you're going to write with this thing. But the Lamy Safari and this one write very similar, smooth as butter, and a teeny tiny little inky dinky nib. Why do they do that? But they do.
Quite a bit of a difference in price, though, too. with the
I guess so.
Safari and the 2000.
Yeah, this is actually a gold nib. You'd never know it because it's so teeny tiny. But I also got blessed with another pin that I didn't think I was going to like that much. My friend Troy sent me this pin. It's a Schaefer Javelin. It's a Schaefer Javelin, and it's not a pricey pin, but it's a little steel nib pin. You know, Schaefer's got that funny looking wide at the bottom and short at the top looking profile. But this is a stiff feeling pin, but it writes just really nice little writing pin. I started something else in my journey. There's a local auction house and some different antique malls and that sort of thing that have different auctions that you can, some people will sell old stuff. And I started buying old pins and restoring them. And I can buy these pins for, you know, if you buy them together, $2-3, they're not much, but these pins are like what's this? The one with the arrow. What's that? What is that? It's not a Schaefer. What did you say? Parker. It's a Parker 51. And what made me think of that is this teeny tiny little nib on that little puppy. But these pins, I learned how to restore pins. I learned to put the ink sacs in them and clean them with and all of this. You wouldn't believe what these look like when I got them. But these you can buy for next to nothing. I'm certain they almost pay you to carry them away. So I got these. I got these. I got at antique malls, auctions. Often at an auction, you'll get. I bought an auction a while back. Had just piles full. I got fistfuls of dip pins and hundreds of nibs. And those things are like $2.50, $5 a piece. Brand new nibs, old, really old, but new old stock. And so I keep an eye on all the. When I say auctions, I'm not talking about eBay. I'm talking about, although I have a little bit of that, not much, but I'm talking about local, just junk auctions and stuff. But Troy showed me how to put ink sacs in these, and so I clean them. And these here haven't been worked on yet. And these I've not even inked them. I thought, well, I've done it, but now what do I do with them? I don't really want lever filler pins. I guess I'll trade them. Anybody want to trade some pins? I'll trade Lannis. I'll trade you these 4 for any one of your Pelicans.
Wink,
No,
wink. Right?
You're not jumping at that, huh? Oh well, I tried.
So, Dad,
Yeah.
some of the rest of us need to get to know this Troy LaPlante because he keeps giving you things. So, how do we get in good with Troy?
He gave me this.
get some
Oh, let me
freebies?
tell you something else about Troy. He's been on a lot of these Zooms. He's a friend of Larry's. Larry's known him for years. And Jake knows him real well. But he's got Fountain Pen Fanatic. He's got a YouTube channel called Fountain Pen Fanatic. That's how you find him, Lannis. And he does, like Larry does, he does pin giveaways. And
that's
he got a bunch of these once. This is actually a very inexpensive Waterman. And he got a bunch of these from somebody, and he just said on the show, anybody wants one, let me know, I'll send you one. So I said, I'll take one. He sent it to me. So that's how I got that one. This one was, he had a contest, and I won this at his contest. And this is a pen that Larry talked to me about in the past, and I thought, I'm not interested. That sounds too.
Is that a vanishing point?
Yeah,
Who would hide the point of a fountain pen? Does that make sense at all? This is the most beautiful part of a fountain pen is that beautiful point on them, you know? Who would hide it? And Larry asked me, hey, you want a vanishing point? I said, no, I'm not too interested in that. So
I love him.
I know you do. He's got a gazillion of them. So Troy has a fountain pen giveaway. You pay attention to his YouTubes. One day I was watching one of his YouTubes, and he just said, I've got a pen that was given to me. He was given by a pen company. He buys a bunch of pens. to anything he wants with. He said, I'm going to give it away. He said, all you got to do is to be in the contest, you just send me a question. Write me any kind of a question about anything, about me, about my son, about pins, anything. Just ask a question and you'll automatically be in the contest. So I wrote a question, didn't think anything more of it. A month or so later, I get this email from him. You're not going to believe this, Dan, but you won the pin. I'm thinking, oh, great, a vanishing point, right? Why can't you send me a Mont Blanc? No, I'm kidding. It was very generous.
You need to go back to those notes about graciousness and get gratitude that you're writing about.
No, shame on me. Bad preacher, bad preacher. I can't believe I said that. I'm just joking, and Troy knows I'm joking.
Having said that, Dan, I think I was on a Zoom with us here.
Yeah.
I think he was maybe on here
Yeah.
and offered a pen, and I bit the dust and I sent him an email or a text or something. He says, I think that was him that said, I don't usually send to Canada, but sure, I can send you one. And I think I got one of his pens now that you mention it.
This is it. This is probably the very pin. Does it look like that?
Yes, I think maybe you're right.
Linus, this means that you and I are relatives.
Oh,
We're like half siblings or something now. We're family. We have siblings. And what's that make us? Like aunts, aunt-in-laws, uncles-in-law or something? Anyway, that's a Waterman too. And so anyway, I won the vanishing point, and I'm sure Larry was happy about it, but can't get the cap off it in any way at all. But if you push the bottom part, out pops this little teeny tiny inky dinky nib. And I found out if you take the bottom part off, you can see more of it. This is actually a gold nib. And so it writes great. It's a nice little pen. And this pen, as soon as my wife saw it, she says, oh, you can use that one to write in your Bible. I thought, because when you write it in your Bible with a fountain pen, it kind of bleeds through because the pages are that real thin stuff. I do anyway. But with this, it's a very, very, this is almost like a needle point line.
yeah, doesn't it tear the pages?
No, I'm careful.
Because that's the paper in the Bible is like onion skin, and
yeah, it's very, very, very.
You'd be tearing the pages in there.
Yeah, I got to show you that a Bible I got. You want to talk about tiny? What did I do? Where is that thing?
Hey, Jake, how late are we going to?
Yeah. Oh, it's 8:30.
However long it takes.
I got 5 more minutes and then
I got news for you guys. It's 9:29 where I'm coming from.
Same
Well, we're
here.
gonna shut down any time now, so let's hurry.
It's
All
my
right,
Friday.
well,
It's
do
my
your last
Friday,
pin,
so I
Dan.
don't go to work tomorrow.
Do your last pin.
I have a lot more to say, so I'll just say it fast. That's a Larry talk. He texts that way too.
Do you preach like that? Holy.
I catch myself going faster and faster and faster. When I hear myself, sometimes I think, shut up, Dan, and slow down. But if you want to hear how I preach, you got to go to Facebook page, Boston Chapel Christian Church, and my Sunday morning messages are on there. They're only around 20 minutes long. So if you want to see
show us the smallest Bible you have.
I'm just thinking where it is. Let me think just a second. Larry, say something to somebody. Let me think where I put this. You've got to see this thing.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Wait.
By the way, Larry, I sent you a link to the Aswin pen in chat.
Look at your chat.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. I'm going to check that out.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. This, my grandmother, who's been dead, bless her heart, loved me to pieces. This is the Bible. And it's in the King James. This is Old and New Testaments. Every single word in the Bible is in this, and it is also extremely legible if you use one of these. Literally, the entire
And
Bible.
the guy in the black shirt, the white shirt.
Wow.
What are you
What a
looking at?
keepsake that is.
Trying to get
My
that
grandma
up.
wanted me to have it because I was her preacher grandson. But the entire Old and New Testaments, and with a magnifying glass, you can read it absolutely perfectly. Never see anything like it. The teeny tiny little thing. So here, this is what a chapstick looks like next to it. This is little, but this is a real keepsake for me. It reminds me of my most favorite relative. Okay, that's it, Larry. My pen journey continues, and you're a part of it, buddy. So it's all
right, I do thank you. All right, folks. Well, now it's time to say goodbye.
Okay, Dan, you need a loop this size.
Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah, that's a biggie. Yeah, that's a juicy one.
Yeah,
I've got the link. I just can't get in it.
Yeah, this is just a dinky little thing. This one is made in Belarus.
That was promotional for one of our diamond shows or something.
I received today. I bought a digital microscope.
This is a
magnification.
Fine quality made in Belarus. Yeah, right there. Yep. Anyway, I love it. You got to get one. It's called a triplet. All right, Larry.
30 times.
All right, my friends, y'all take care. And we'll be seeing you soon. Now, don't forget, coming up next. Before we go, we're going to be having who up next? Okay?
Elise, next Friday, I believe.
And then who's next? Let them look it up. And they're going to be open. So we need to start putting that on the Mr. Announcer info, that they will be open. Some will be closed.
Okay, so we have Elise from Heinz Pens on Friday, November 4th, Eric Smith on Saturday, November 12th, and Francisco of Heinz Pens on Sunday, November 13th.
And we're waiting for Ray to let us know the time that he's going to be on. And that's going to wrap it up. I do have some left-handed writers coming on, some planners and journal people coming on. So I have quite a few people that will be coming on. So it's going to be interesting. Okay. All right, folks. Anything else?
Do we still gonna have a global pen club on November 19th?
Yes. We have to look that up. What date was that?
November 19th.
Yeah, and you can always get a hold of Janice on that.
Oh.
Got it?
Yeah, he said it was
When?
November 19th.
We need to put that down on Mr. Announcer too. Yeah. All right, folks. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Bring your money. I'll pass the hat. All right, take care.
Good night, everyone.
Have a